This episode of Unscripted is brought to you by Dubby. Dubby is an energy drink that doesn't cause any jitters and gives you a bunch of energy to get all your gaming done, and it energizes me to do Unscripted. So use code Krooked Does Stuff at dubby.gg and you'll get your own Dubby for 10% off, and you can also find a link in the description down below. So thank you, Dubby, for sponsoring this episode, and here's Unscripted. Hello, everyone. I am Krooked, and I do stuff, and this is Unscripted, the series where I take a completely unscripted-looking game and give it a 1 through 10 rating. Today, I am playing a classic on the Super Nintendo, Donkey Kong Country. If you somehow don't know what Donkey Kong Country is, back in the 90s, Rare, the company, got the license to make Donkey Kong game. And up until this point, Donkey Kong was an arcade game that featured a gorilla named Donkey Kong. And he did gorilla things. That's a really bad description of it. What's a better way to describe it? It was the first appearance of Mario, known as Jumpman at that point. And Donkey Kong was basically the villain of Jumpman. And in the old games, they were all very arcade style. So it had like Mario Jumpman. Going through levels and rescuing Paulina. And then in later games, Donkey Kong Jr. showed up to save Donkey Kong. And then there was also this other thing where Donkey Kong was fighting like bugs. That was Donkey Kong. So then in the 90s, Rare said, let's reinvent the character a little bit, and we got Donkey Kong Country. Now, you'll notice this isn't really arcade-like. This is platformer-like, and that's exactly what they did, is they made Donkey Kong Country into a platformer. And, took a lot of the liberties with the character, introduced a bunch of new characters, and this is what we have. So for anyone who doesn't know, because this is important information, the original Donkey Kong is not who I'm playing as. The character I'm playing as right now has the name of Donkey Kong, but he's actually Donkey Kong Jr. What are you talking about, Krooked? That doesn't make any sense. Well, again, when Rare took the liberties, they decided that Cranky Kong, the old one that was playing the music at the very beginning of the episode, was the original Donkey Kong. And this Donkey Kong was Donkey Kong Jr. So, yes, this is technically Donkey Kong Jr.'s game, not Donkey Kong's game. I know, it can be really confusing, but it's a really good way to revitalize an IP that otherwise needs it. So, that's Donkey Kong Country in a nutshell of what happened. So Rare put in a ton of work and made this. Now, if you'll notice, the graphics here are a lot better than most Super Nintendo games. They absolutely pushed the console to its limit by using the kind of 3D look that this game has. Which I love. I don't know anyone who doesn't love this game for its graphics. I don't know how to get up there. I know how to get up there if I'm playing multiplayer, but I don't know how to get up there if I'm not. Okay. Well, that's fine. So, now that I've went over the history a little bit, we can go say hi to the original Donkey Kong, but I don't really want to. we can get into the game. So, graphics. I already touched on it just a little bit, but the graphics for this game, especially for a Super Nintendo game, absolutely spectacular. The environments look really, really good. You can tell what's an actual platform you can stand on. You can tell what the objects are to collect. You can tell who the enemies are. Just fantastic graphics. Probably, with the series, is some of the best on the entire system. It just looks really, really good. It revitalized the character, and going off of an arcade sprite from the 80s into this, I don't think they could have done any better at all. Also, fun fact, the original Mario Kart has Donkey Kong Jr. with his sprite instead of this. But this revitalized the character and made it who it is today. Did he? Okay. So, graphically, it's one of the most impressive on the entire system. Even games that came out after Donkey Kong Country don't look as good as Donkey Kong Country, which says a lot about the graphics of this. In terms of sound, I love the sounds in this game. When you hit the enemies, it makes a nice little bounce noise, kind of like it does with the rubber tires. And then each enemy kind of has their own little death noise. So like these guys go, eh! Other ones will make different noises. The snakes make little hisses. Absolutely spectacular sound. The music for each level, for the in-between levels, everything, it sounds really, really good. It's very appeasing. It's music that's going to stick with you for a while. Like, if you told me that you've had Donkey Kong Country soundtrack stuck in your head for the last 30 years, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I'd be like, oh, yep, that's Donkey Kong Country. It just does really, really well in both of those regards. So really, you're probably wondering, okay, well, you've went over sound, you've went over graphics. Those are the two of the three main things you go after. What about the controls, Krooked? Well, this is an underwater level that I don't hate. That says a lot about the controls just from the get-go. But it's really responsive. Y helps you run. You can also do that little roll that I've been doing earlier. You can do the cartwheel with Diddy Kong. And you can change who you are by pressing A. You can also do it by hitting select. The game is also two-player. So if you're two-player, you can actually throw your teammate. Oh, I didn't know that. No. Come back. I want my little swordfish back. Okay. So you can actually throw your teammate and kind of, throw them into enemies, walls, whatever you want. Some things will hurt them, some things won't. It's a little bit more difficult to tell what's going on with that and what will and will not hurt you. But you figure it out pretty quick. Haha. Kill that shark. So, you also get animal companions. Those are really easy to control. They control kind of the same way. Y is basically their attack. B is jump, depending on which one you have. And you can even switch well on that. If you get hit with one of your characters that's not an animal, you switch over and then you can get them out of death, basically, by getting one of the DK barrels. You can travel between worlds by using Funky's flights, because Funky Kong is the thing in this. And when you go to a new level, of course, you don't get your animal friend because, well, that would be unfair. So, going back to the controls, everything is very, very fluid. If you hit a button, it's responding right away. You don't have to wait at all. There are times where it can be a little frustrating because you'll be in, like, one of these barrels and you'll have to hit a button to shoot yourself out. But even when that happens, it's not as bad as you would think, because you can still do what you're trying to do without much other than having the correct timing, which is really easy to get. Everything's super, super, super responsive. And the game's fast-paced, but you don't have to go fast. There's no timer or anything like that. Honestly, this is an example of a game that said, we want to do everything right, and boy, did they do everything right. There's tons of secrets. I did not get one there. Tons of stuff to really find. I wouldn't say unlock too much, because there's not much to unlock. That comes in the later games. But Donkey Kong Country is one of those games where if you haven't played it for any reason, people are like, what do you mean you haven't played Donkey Kong Country? If you have played it, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, and the quality that Rare put into this game, and why it's so memorable, and why it has the reputation it does. I just died, but that was my fault entirely. So, with all of that being said, this is honestly a game that anyone who likes platformers should check out. If you don't like platformers, I think this is one of those times where the game will turn you on to a genre that you may not have enjoyed previously. And any time that that's the case, I think it's a win across the board. And because that is the case with this, and it does everything right, like, the hardest part about this game is it's difficult. But there's unlimited continues, so even though it's difficult, with persistence, you're going to get through it. This is also one of the first games I ever played when I had a Let's Play channel, because of how good and how memorable it is. And even all these years later, going back to it, I still love this game. So, for a score, Donkey Kong Country, there's only one score that I can honestly give it, and that is a 10 out of 10. This game is perfect in every way that a game can be perfect, and you're going to enjoy it. If you don't, chances are you don't like platformers at all, because again, this one does absolutely everything right that could be done right. So, with all that being said, comment down below. Let me know what your favorite memory of Donkey Kong Country is, or, you know, what your favorite Donkey Kong Country game is. Like this video if you enjoyed what you saw. Hit that subscribe button so that way you never miss out on an episode of Unscripted. And don't forget to click that notification button so that way you'll be notified whenever a new episode does come out. Other than that, I do want to thank you for watching Unscripted, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye!